let's go to your question on fertility. If you're a woman struggling to get pregnant, those first 10 days, you need your glucose to be in a really normal place. And if you haven't put a continuous glucose monitor on it, I highly recommend. You should be waking up with a fasting glucose somewhere around 90. It should be under 100 for sure. And so, and you aren't going to do well with refined carbohydrates. So polycystic ovarian syndrome, it is insulin resistance. And when we clean up those first 10 days of a woman's cycle, we see that her PCOS symptoms are much better because she cleans up the estrogen system. Infertility, you need estrogen to peak during ovulation. If you didn't live a lifestyle to build up to being able to cater to estrogen's need, then she may not reach her peak during ovulation and you may not have an egg that releases. So those first 10 days need to be about catering to estrogen. She wants you to fast. She wants you to keep glucose down. She's okay if you stay up all night and party like a rock star. She doesn't care about cortisol. And she like is very stress tolerant. The only requirement she has is keep insulin under control. And the minute insulin's out of control, every estrogen symptom appears. So that's the first 10 days.
Wow. I mean, okay. I just wish I would have known this. Like, you know, right. I froze my eggs last year because I was like, you know, I'm 40 at 43, right? And it was successful, thank God. But like, now I'm like, I should have been eating keto those first 10 days. Like just these little tweaks that can boost your, you know, ovaries and everything else. Like these, like how are we just having this conversation in 2024? Right. You know,
I know. So when I first discovered the fasting cycle, I had infertility in mind. I was like, wait a second, I think we could really create a lifestyle tool here for infertility. And so I had a couple of people on my team that had been trying to get pregnant for several years with no luck. So I was like, hey, how do you feel about being a guinea pig here? Could you try the fasting cycle the way that I think it should be? I'm like, it probably will take you about 90 days to be able to stabilize yourself and get pregnant. So I took 2 of my team members, I took 3 of my patients, so it was 5 women, and I tested it. Within 30 days, all 5 were pregnant.
No way. Oh my God.
And I was like, what? So then when I put Fast Like a Girl out into the world, I put a section on infertility in the back. And I was like, I just want to see what happens. And now the book in 1 year has sold over 500,000 copies. We have so many amazing reviews on Amazon. And if you read those reviews, a lot of them are women who have been in traditional fertility, expensive fertility treatments, and they finally clean up their hormonal system, estrogen being the number 1, and they get pregnant.
Wow. What a gift. That's amazing.
Isn't that cool?
So cool. I mean, so fast and so cool.
So fast, right? And this is just because we have to think of these hormones as wisdom molecules. Like they know how if we allow them to tell us the lifestyle we should live, they will shine. And when you're infertile, you're out of balance. If it's you, not your partner, you are out of balance with the wisdom that you have within your hormones. So all I'm doing is helping people think through how to bring them back into that wisdom. So anyway, so that's the first 10 days. Then this is my favorite part, the ovulation. So when I looked at ovulation, I was like, okay, this is really fascinating because with ovulation, you've got estrogen hits her peak. So I think of estrogen, specifically estradiol, is like a diva. She peaks at ovulation. Yeah, exactly. Like it's so funny because I went to a year and a half ago, I went and saw Stevie Nicks at the Gorge and it was like, you know, there's a diva.
Yeah.
And when she did her encore, she kind of shuffled back on in her witchy heely shoes. And I was like, that is estradiol right there. That
Embodied.
is like, yeah, I'm like embodied in a human.
Yeah.
Estradiol comes back, comes in her full glory during manifestation and sits there as the diva and says, I am the one that releases this egg into the fallopian tube. And in that egg, by the way, is the wisdom of the DNA wisdom of all of your female ancestors. I just want to say that egg is a lineage to your mother, your grandmother, your great grandmother. Like that's the genetics in that freaking egg. So she is powerful. So she needed estradiol to come in to be able to release. But then the other thing that estradiol does is once she releases the eggs, she turns on serotonin and dopamine in your brain. So you're happy. She stimulates acetylcholine so you can hold on to memory. She right before she comes in, oxytocin comes in because they're like besties. And then oxytocin comes in and she's like, here's my friend estradiol. And she makes us want to connect. So, and then at the
To
same
fertilize
time
that egg, yeah.
right, exactly, to fertilize that egg.
You gotta be.
Right? This is how cool we are.
So cool.
It's so, I still geek out on this. So then nature was so brilliant that nature was like, okay, estradiol, your job is to release the egg and then protect the rest of the female body. Okay, oxytocin, you're going to come in so you can create a connection, a desire for connection, so you're fertile and you reproduce because the species needs to continue on. And then we're going to give you the most testosterone you have the whole cycle. And this is going to not only up your libido and make you want to have sex, but it's also going to give you motivation and drive. So you're like motivated to reproduce. And then I'm going to give you a little bit of progesterone just so you calm yourself down because there's a lot of hormonal superpowers coming in one moment. So this 10-day period, I called the manifestation phase because when I looked at it, I was like, holy cow, you could manifest a baby if you want, but you could manifest a new business idea. You can manifest a promotion. You are locked and loaded with all these hormonal superpowers. You could create anything. You could solve a problem. Like I kept saying during the pandemic, we should have put all the ovulating women in one room and they would have solved the freaking problem of how to get us out of that.
Yes.
So it is your superpower moment. And so there's a different lifestyle that goes with it. You need to take all of those hormones and you need to break them down. So you can fast a little bit, that's fine, but you need to lean into foods that break it down. And those are fiber foods. This is when you want to be eating more leafy green vegetables and so that you can feed the microbiome because it's going to break estrogen down. You want to lean into the bitter foods like radicchio and dandelion greens and lemon and ginger so that you can support the liver so it can break these hormones down and make them usable for you. So if we go back to your question about fertility, it's like, okay, if you're struggling to get pregnant, my first question to you is, are you insulin sensitive? And are you minding those first 10 days? My second question to you is, what are your liver and gut behaviors during your ovulation? If you're going to give up alcohol, that's the 5-day window to give up alcohol. Are you eating salads with every single meal? Do you even know what a bitter vegetable is? Like I listed them all out in Fast Like a Girl. But if you do that, now you're working with your hormones. Can you see how it just like once you paint the picture, you're like, this makes so much sense.
It's giving us the roadmap, right? And it's what you're doing, what you've done so brilliantly. And that's why everybody needs to read this book, whether you're trying to deal with infertility or autoimmune or cancer or just potential or just, going through adolescence now and wanting to have the best foundation for the rest of your life. But like, for me, you even say this brilliant thing in which it's like we have this brilliant system and it's our greatest ally, as this spiritual being having this physical experience in this human body. And you have this quote that I love, and it says, we've been taught to medicate symptoms instead of interpret them. And that's like, our symptoms are the feedback. Symptoms are the alarm bells. Symptoms are the language of the body telling us that something is out of balance or not in sync with our natural rhythms. That's right. And you've kind of cracked the code and figured out that hormonal language that it's trying to communicate with us so that we can be in sync and flow and reach our potential and work with it to, you know, optimize this amazing body, even in spite of the toxic soup we're living in and the stressful life that we're bombarded with. It's just it's so empowering, and it's just becoming fluent in this beautiful language and kind of synergy of our body. Thank you for listening to the Heal Podcast. Be sure to tune in every Thursday for more empowering wisdom and inspiring healing stories. And make sure you hit the follow button on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts so you don't miss that one episode that holds the answer you've been searching for. And please rate and review us so that we can grow and reach more people. Thanks so much, and be well.